Alright, so this week we're going to talk about playing guard, so being on our butts on Tuesday, or on the first session of this week, we're talking about passing the guy's guard, which mainly involves putting him onto his back and trying to get past his legs. So today we're going to cover the important positions with staying up seated, trying to avoid the guy putting us on our back, where we have more play to attack and have a more offensive guard, which you'll learn down the line because we can't cover everything sadly in this course. This class will mostly be on defensive and retaining my guard, keeping my legs in front of me, and then we'll talk a bit about what my opponent does get me on my back, the best way to keep him in front of me as well. Again, I want my legs in front of me because I want to be able to attack my opponent. When my legs are in front of me, I can grab him, I can attack him, I can make these 3 points of connection that essentially make a guard. Usually a guard involves at least 3 points of connection. I can start to push and pull and attack my opponent. So when I'm in this seated position, which again is better for me starting, especially as a beginner, because my opponent wants to put me on my back usually for nearly most passes. So he's trying to like push me on my shoulders, pick up my hands, and when he gets me on my back, then he can start trying to get past my legs. Nice one, back a little bit just. So if I can stay seated for longer, I'm probably going to have a better opportunity down the line to be able to develop a more offensive guard. So this position where I get seated, if my opponent's standing square in front of me, which just means his feet are on like a straight line. So he's got both his feet on the same like angle. I'm bringing my feet to really touch like this. So like the flats of my feet are touching together. My knees have a bit of a bend. It's a wee bit of a stretch here if you haven't done this too much. And my hands are over my feet. Because again, the main way my opponent's going to try and put me on my back is either by lifting my feet, and driving me to the mat, or by pushing me on my shoulders. Exactly, I'm putting me on my back. So when I'm in this position, I want to be in like this, my hands come over my feet, and I got a bit of a roll in the back. So if he wants to grab my feet, he has to come through my hands, and I can start to try and get into a hand fight here. Same thing if he wants to push in my shoulders here, I can block with my hands and start to fight and make it harder for my partner. Alright, so when I'm in this position, seated, and my opponent's just standing in front of me, trying to essentially push me to a mat, my main goal here to build off and develop a future game is to look probably for a 2-on-1. So if my opponent's here and he's trying to hand, I'd be trying to hand fight, control his hands, and I'd be looking to get a 2-on-1. So 2 of my hands on one of his. There's a bunch of 2-on-1s, but a good 2 to start with are either your basic wrist grip, one hand goes around the wrist, and then my other hand covers, or an arm drag. Same side wrist, back of the tricep, and they get a bend. From here you can start pulling the guy, or if the guy pulls away, you can start using that to come up and wrestle. So that's a good position to play off, and that's what we're going to look at, or would have looked at in the course. Being in this position, defending, a bit of hand fighting here while the guy tries to move around and put us on our shoulders. He's going to try and put me on my back, I'm going to try and stay in this position. This is all well and good if he's just standing in front of me and he's not, like he's just standing here trying to fight, and we're just hand fighting here. Well, my opponent starts to try and essentially get around my guard by like circling, so he starts to circle. This isn't good for me. If I don't react to this at all and he just keeps circling, he's going to get behind me and threaten my back and threaten all these kind of positions. But in the same vein, if I just circle like willy-nilly to face him, so if he turns, if I put both my feet on the mat and turn to face him, now there's nothing defending my feet. So again, if Edward now picks up my feet, he can drive me back to my back and start to pass again. So I also want to be very specific in how I react to when he starts to pass. And I want to keep him in this kind of area. They call this the headlights concept. If you imagine there's like headlights coming out your knees that shoot beams of light, this is the area I want to keep him in. When he's here, you can forward a wee bit, I can grab him, I can attack him, I can make connections and start to use that to start to enter and play my own guard attacking positions where I can build my own offense. As soon as he comes past this area, so he comes past my hands, now like all my weapons face this way and he's this way. So if I don't do anything, he's going to either drive me to the mat, take my back, etc, etc. So I want to be able to turn to keep him back in this area so I can hand fight, be more defensive, and also build my own offense. Again, that's called the headlights position, or the headlights concept, sorry. So when I'm here, when he starts to say he circles to my right, I'm going with a cross post, like this, anywhere, whatever knee I can find, as far knee, as close knee, whichever one he's leading with. Cross post here, my right hand's going to come to the mat, and I'm going to fall onto my right hip. This is nearly the position that you would do a technical stand-up in with our weight. So when I'm here, I can now turn and circle back to face. And it means that as this is happening, you keep circling to my right, I can post and turn, post and turn. Means that at any point, this helps keep distance. So if I want, I could start to stand back up and wrestle if it was a more self-defense situation. But it also means if as he's circling, he tries to grab my feet, I'm able to block with my hands at the same time. And also I keep my legs nice and close to my butt. Well, before when I was doing it, even if I was here, if I'm leaving my feet behind, now he goes to grab my ankles, I'm too slow to get there. But now, because when I circle, he circles, I go cross post, hand on the mat behind me, foot close to the butt, and I'm pulling my feet nice and tight towards me. So again, if he tries to reach for my feet now, I can back and defend with my hands. So that was the other drill we were doing. My partner was just going one way, with cross posting and circling, cross posting and circling. He goes back the other way. I'm switching my cross post, and what's always important, I want to fall onto my hip and pull through. It's a mix of dragging this leg around, and also I can lift slightly and pull this knee through that space. Let it spin nice and quick. A nice tip here as well is that if I post my hand and my fingers point towards my partner or my opponent, it means it's very easy for a bend to be forced into my elbow. So if I was here, for example, and my opponent starts to push on me as this is happening, see if my elbow bends, it's harder to keep myself up. Well, if I point my fingers away from my partner, that locks out my arm. So even if I'm circling now, he goes to push on me, I have a bit of base that I can hold myself up with briefly. Again, if I just stay there the whole time, you will push me over. But it means I have something to take a wee bit of that weight while I frame and back away or recircle. So that's what we were talking about. So if I'm square, my opponent's square, then we were mixing those drills in together. He's square, I'm hand fighting, keeping my feet here, looking for 2-on-1s. If he starts to circle on his 2-on-1s, I'm turning to face, and I can hand fight and I turn to face. The other thing is I want to do a wee bit of distance management here. If he's circling and getting closer and closer and closer to me, that's not good, because the closer he is to me, the more when he circles, the more distance he's going to cover and the better angle he's going to cover. If he's far away from me and he takes like one step this way, I don't have to do as much work to face him. But if he's really, really tight and now he takes a step, I have to do way more work to turn to face him. So if my opponent's really starting to come close as well, I want to make a bit of distance when I'm going backwards and I'm maintaining this. And then when I'm ready and know more, I can start making my connections to play offensively. Second part of the session was mostly based on, well, if I mess up, which is sometimes is going to happen, and my partner is able to get me onto my back, like this. Again, positionally, I have a lot of the same ideas in common. I want my partner to be able to grab my feet and control my legs and all that kind of stuff. The main benefit my partner has over me here when I'm in this position is he has a lot of mobility. If ever just starts to run around, my God, see, it's really easy for him to run around, go one way, go the other way and turn. And I want to give myself the best chance to match that mobility. He's always going to be kind of faster on his feet, probably. But I want to be able to essentially spin really well to face him. So if he goes one side, I want to be able to essentially spin on my back and face him easily. He goes this way, again, I can post and I can spin. The way I do that is a couple things. The first thing is this position of my back. We'll call this guys call this banana spine or rocking chair spine. I want to roll my shoulders up off the mat, and I want to bring my knees into my armpits. And ideally even here, I'm going to point my feet at my partner. So instead of pointing them at their shins, I'm going to point them up towards them as if I was going to up kick them in the face. This helps lift my hips off the mat. And now when I'm bringing my shoulders off the mat and rolling and lifting my hips, and I have as little of my back on the mat as possible, it's easier for me to spin and be more mobile. So to give a demonstration, I'm really flat here with my shoulders flat on the mat and my butt's on the mat and my lower back's on the mat. And Ever just tries to spin me, just grab my feet and try to spin me in a circle. Yeah. I'm not really going very far. But I'm up here. I bring my feet up nice and high. I come up like this and now he spins me. It's going to be very easy for me to spin. Now, it makes it a bit easier if my partner is controlling my legs to spin. But it means in these positions, if I'm here, same idea, and I'm flat and he starts to go to the side here, and my goal is to keep him still, same idea, I want to keep him in the space. That's really difficult. I'm dragging all my weight behind. Say he steps back this way, and I make that adjustment where I come up. Now it's really easy to spin. Comes back, it's easy to spin. And that was our first drill. We were just getting used to that position where again I'm rolling my shoulders.
my knees come into the armpits, I ideally point my feet at my opponent, which helps lift my hips off the mat. Again, this takes a wee bit of getting used to, a wee bit of stretching, and definitely if you're more flexible, it'll help. And all we were doing for the first one was my opponent was going to one side, I'm just getting a C grip, posting on either leg that makes sense, and just spinning back the face. You go the other way, I post and spin back the face. And we were just go side to side a couple times. And I was just getting used to this movement of just spinning and facing. If I feel like it's tough for me to keep my legs supported up my partner the whole time, it's tiring me out, when I do my spin, if my feet are lower, see as I spin, I'll lift them at the same time. So like face them briefly and come back. This can be a bit of a stretch for most people and can be harder on your core. So if you feel like that's kind of burning you out, keep your feet a bit lower if you have to, and when he steps, you can lift and help. As you go for that lift, that'll help your lower back come off the mat and makes you spin a bit easier.
Sometimes in these spinning situations, I'm going to want to spin, but my opponent's going to be close enough that when I try to bring my leg through, I'm getting like jammed up, essentially. So same idea. I can be down like this. My partner comes to step past. And I want to spin the facing, but you see our shins, I'll drop my lower leg here. My shin's like banging into his shins. I want to come through this space, it's not working. What do I do from here? Same idea. I still want to do the same thing, I just need to make distance. Just how I was talking about before with the distance management and moving backwards. If he's too close to me, it's not good for me. He's jamming me up, it's more likely he'll start to try and control me and get a pass. So when I'm here, keep the same shape. I'm just going to put my outside foot on the mat, and I'm going to do a hip escape motion that we do as our warm-ups. So I'm here, I hip escape, I just make a brief amount of space, and then when I lift my hips in, I can spin back and face him and I can start making my connections again. Same thing, he goes this way, I'm posting, I can't just pull my shin through here, he's too tight. My foot's going on the mat on the outside, but really trying to activate, just bring my toes on the mat and bring my toe and my foot really close to my butt. And I'm just hip escaping. So if there's space behind, I make a disconnect between our shins, and then my knee has that room to pull back in through that space. It's important when I do this that I don't open up my near side position. I want to keep this really controlled. So when I do my hip escape, I don't want this leg to go really far away. Exactly, Edward's just going to bring his knee to the mat and start to control me knee on belly or side control. So when I'm here and he comes by and I do my hip escape, my elbow and my knee here are keeping really tight. So as I turn on my side, I'm trying to connect my elbow and my knee. So if he does start to drive in here, there's some amount of like a freeing, deflecting him and keeping him away from me. I could even push my hand, hip escape again, and then pull back into face. Alright? So that's what I'm doing if my partner's going like side to side. Similar to how when my partner was going side to side here, I was doing this kind of movement. What if my partner is standing in front of me and he just wants to start controlling the grips on the feet? Very much the same idea. Here we were talking about hand fighting and all this kind of stuff. Here, I can't really hand fight. He's kind of like too far away to hand fight here. Yeah, and my partner's going to be wanting to control my feet. He could start throwing me to one side. He could start using this to set up other passes, leg drags, and start coming on the inside. There's loads of different stuff you could start doing if he controls my legs. Firstly, it'll make your legs a really easy target. So you let go. When I'm here, my feet are pointing towards him. I'm like moving my feet, just like our warm-up drill. Here we're like doing our leg circles. That's what I do. My legs are like, not just circling predictably the same way, but as he goes to grab my feet, they're like moving around. So you try and grab my feet away. They're like moving around a wee bit like this. If he does get a grip on my feet, there's going to be a point, if you let go of this one, just so you can see this one. There's going to be a point in every grip when you have a single side grip where he doesn't have the best aspect of control. If I pull down the ways here, I'm pulling into his fingers. If I pull across to this far wall, I'm pulling into his palm. But because of just the nature of his grip, there's always going to be a gap. And that's the way I kick my foot and free. Again, if he's really holding on tight here, I might really need to kick a couple times, use my other foot, and spin out. But it's always going to be easier here when he's trying to grab my feet, to circle and to move my feet away, like this, and move like this, moving my feet. What helps even more is if I keep my feet on what we'll call like two different planes. So if both my feet are here, I'm circling, it's a bit different. Usually I like to bring one foot really high, maybe the other foot's low, and then they're like switching. So not only are they circling on like a horizontal plane, but they're also circling on like a vertical plane. All this kind of stuff. They call this crazy legs, which is an apt name for it. So if my opponent tries to grab my legs, I'm moving around loads. If he's trying to grab my legs and go side to side, trying to grab my legs, I'm just skipping and turning.
Makes sense? So,
one last thing we'll look at today in terms of guard retention is using my feet to control an inside position. So again, when I'm back here,
sometimes either he's coming in really low and I'm able to just put my feet on his biceps or his shoulders, ideally his biceps. Now, as he starts to like walk around here, same thing, say he's like a bit further away and I can't reach with my hand, so we just walk my foot. I can try and reach with my foot, put my foot on him and use that to pull my hips through. Same thing, he walks this way, I'm reaching with my foot, put it on his bicep and using that to pull my hips through. This works especially well if he does happen to grab my feet. I'm here and my partner starts to grab my feet, I can often put my feet on his wrists. I can put my foot up here, pull, get control, and now I have this. Now if you go side to side and I've got like this connection to him, so side to side, I can start to use this to pull and face, and then again later on I can now use this to start setting up my own attacks, whether it be sitting up and wrestling or playing guard.
so the last idea there is,
if he's passing again, same as before, he's passing, if I can get my feet on his biceps, I can use that as well to turn back in. Ideally, I want to go anywhere on his upper body. You'll see some guys now and then will go on the hip, so if you come past, guys will reach either across to the hip like this is very popular, or even same side to the hip. I don't like posting on the hip as much. It makes it easier for him to drag my leg across and then overspin me, and now he's threatening a pass. But when he's low, say he comes low and I pull here, he tries to leg drag it the same way here, it's easier for me to turn back and reframe. So that's the kind of ideas we were talking about, and the best way to get good at this is just to drill this in more of a positional manner. So just have like say a 2.5 minutes on the clock. Say you can just do just seated, so just say you're a partner, you're going to try and put me on my back, I'm going to try and stay up. Do a mixture of kind of pushing my shoulders where I have the base. You mean you can try and grab my feet and I'll circle, try to move side to side, and I'll go and turn and face you. And then you can be like, okay, this another 2.5 minutes, say it's a 5-minute round, you're at an open mat or something. This time I'll be on my back. You're just going to try and get past, and I'm just going to try and keep you in front of me. Again, and just think of your position, your shoulders up off the mat, feet are turned so you're lifting your hips. Move your feet a lot when he's in front of you if he's trying to grab you, and if he's going side to side, use either your hands to post and spin, or use your feet up high to post and spin. And then down the line you can start learning a lot of stuff. And if you have better defense and you're comfortable knowing that it's harder for the guy to pass your guard, move around here a little bit. That's what's going to open up the potential for you to start now playing your own offensive game and starting to work wrestle ups and guard play and stuff like that down the line. So that was us for our guard bottom. Obviously there's a million different things you can do on bottom of guard. Our main goal with a lot of this course for the bottom position is how do we defend ourselves, keep ourselves safe. Because the first thing about white belt and learning jiu-jitsu is your survival. How long can you stop a guy passing your guard or stop a guy tapping you? How do you escape all these worst positions? Because when you're more confident in your defense and your escapes, then you can start to build a better offensive game. So in the next videos and next week, we'll be doing side control top and bottom. We'll be talking about controlling the guy, pinning the guy in side control, finishing an Americana. And then on bottom, we'll be talking about how to escape when a guy's trying to pin us. Great work, and thank you, Evan.